Yeah.
Before I do.
Live, yeah.
We are live. Oh, I see it there. Oh, that's new. I see it there. We're live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your weekly edition of Mauls, Blls and All. Joining me at the moment, because there's a few who do not realise what time it is and haven't checked their email for the invites, notably Peter Martin and Claire and Dara Weston. But currently we have, as we always promised, we go live at 8:30. We have Mike Reedy, and our special guest with us is Luke Marshall. Luke, how the hell are you? Are you well in yourself? Good to see you.
Yeah, very good, thanks. I'm enjoying retirement. I'm probably maybe a little bit too much, as the figure would suggest, but yeah, it's in good form. Thank you.
Well, you look very well from the midriff up, Luke. So you're looking well at that stage. Now, come here to me. Oh, I see. All right. Okay. Now, Luke, I as we do when we have ex-players on and current players on. Oh, here we go. Look, who's this? Or here's one of the latecomers. Peter Martin, so glad you could join us.
Mr. Martin. Thanks for the late introduction, Peter. Yeah.
I sent it 10 minutes ago. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
right.
Pete, I was just about to introduce or go into a bit about our guest, Luke Marshall.
Okay.
Luke, you had a 15-year career. You had 174 caps for Ulster in the middle of the park. 11 caps for Ireland. It's a pretty damn impressive career. I'm going to ask you an obvious question, but I asked this to Victor Costello when we had him on. You've got to be proud of that. Although there were some hiccups which were well documented with injury and all that. But Jesus Christ, man, 174 caps for your home province, 11 caps for Ireland. Luke, that's some achievement, man.
Yeah, it's definitely, now I'm finished, I look back very proud of what I achieved. I should say some hiccups along the road, but that's rugby and that's life. Like, things don't go smoothly. So yeah, like, I'm very proud to represent my home province that many times and to represent my country. Like, that's when I started, when I first realised maybe professional rugby was going to be a career, the first, aside from making into the Ulster team, but it was a dream always to play for my country. That was the biggest thing for me. And there's only 11 to remember, but I remember every game very, very clearly, especially my first cap as well against Scotland. So yeah, I'm very, very proud to be back on it, definitely.
Yeah. Now, you brought it up, Luke. I wasn't going to bring it up. Your first Irish cap, although the result didn't go away back in 2013 against Scotland.
In Scotland, yeah.
How did that feel? How does it feel? You've got the jersey on, you're suited and booted, running out onto the pitch for your first cap. That must feel amazing.
Yeah, it's surreal. I know that's cliche. I think most people probably say that, but it's one of those moments where, especially when you're in the change room looking around you, you're in the lineup singing the anthems. You just have to pinch yourself. And Murrayfield as well. What an iconic ground. Even aside from singing your own national anthem, whenever you hear them singing Flower of Scotland, the atmosphere that creates. But as I say as well, one of the things I remember actually after the game thinking about, and as you said, the result wasn't a good result. We lost that day, and that's probably the start of the end of Decky's career as head coach. But I think at the end of the game, I finished off in the back line with Rog at 10, Reds really came on at 9, Trickle 13, Luke Fitzgerald, Rob Carney, Earls in the wings, just superstars like you're surrounded by. So really just, yes, totally surreal. It would have been nice to win, definitely, but I think sometimes it just didn't work out.
I mean, you didn't lose by that much, Luke. I think the score was 12-6. I think that was the score.
It wasn't a great game, I think, but I think the LA game was worse.
Yeah,
losing to LA, I think, for the first time, but I don't know how long. But
But apart from that, Luke, right? You've you toured South Africa in 2014. You were you were in the IRB Junior World Championships in under 20s 2011. You were Young Player of the Season for the 2012-2013 season. And you know what, Luke? And I'm not just saying this because you're on here, but every time you were on the pitch, you brought an excitement, a dynamism in the middle of the park, because you just had that. You know the way people always they always throw it around that they've got that
X
star
factor.
quality, that X factor. Yes, thanks, Claire.
Yeah.
You had that, Luke, in buckets, and you were always a great watch. It was always great to see you on the team sheet. Did you know that at the time? Like, did you see it yourself?
You have to, I think you have to back yourself. I think to make it, especially in professional rugby, you've got to have confidence in yourself. I probably as I look. That's one thing I probably look back on my career with some regret that maybe at times I didn't back myself as much as I maybe should have done. But I always had confidence. I always knew what I could bring, even towards the end of my career. I knew I could bring some different other players at times. Yeah, I had confidence in myself, definitely.
Yeah.
Luke, sorry, Peter. Seeing as you've brought it up there, Luke, is that something that you would basically say to younger players now coming through at the same age you were, is basically to believe in themselves a little bit more, or are the younger guns basically cock of the walk, knowing exactly, listen, I'm the bee's knees, I'm going to absolutely kill it today? Like, is what do you feel like, having been in that position, so many years ago, taking your first steps in the game, and between the Leinster, between the Ulster jersey and indeed Ireland, you just said, about backing yourself. Do you feel there's a massive jump in confidence wise now from the younger players, or would you still say these guys still need to believe in themselves, just from the dressing room perspective?
It's obviously, it is player specific, different personalities. Like my personality, I'd be quite quiet, by nature. I don't go into a room and shout and get on. I very much gravitate to the edge and listen. And certainly coming as a young guy coming into professional rugby, obviously you've got guys with big egos, loud, and I probably struggled with it coming at the start, But as you say, I do think the younger generation now are more confident for whatever reason. I definitely would say that. I think there's less of it. Initially, probably, I think some guys, that's probably always been the case, but I've certainly found there's some guys probably need to rein it in a wee bit sometimes. But so I do think it's sort of player specific and personality specific. And maybe it's changed a bit as well, because I didn't, guys weren't hostile to me or anything coming in, but certainly, in years gone by, there would have been more of an emphasis on earning your stripes for young guys coming in, and maybe they would have made it a bit more difficult, but I don't think that's the case as much anymore. And that's a good thing as well, because I think guys should be allowed to flourish naturally, and they should be allowed to come in and feel comfortable in the environment. So that's good. But certainly, as I said, it is player specific, and I know if I'm certainly in Ulster when I was sort of coming to the end of the last few years, any guys I thought were, I tried to help the young guys as much as possible, and guys I thought were maybe a bit low in confidence, whatever, I would always try and help them in that way, just say that, you just got to back yourself,
Now, Luke, are you? Before I open up the floor to anyone else who wants to ask Luke a question, Luke, you played with alongside some of the greats in Ulster and Irish rugby. God, you could rattle them off, but I won't. But the two notables, Rory Best, and you played number 12 to Brian O'Driscoll. What they were kind of, I suppose, as the perception amongst rugby fans is that they were two of the best leaders on the pitch. Your own impression, I presume you'd agree with that, or what would they like? What would their voices like? Their characters like to be around, to play with, to be captained by Rory Best?
Yeah, I'll start with Rory. Like Rory's probably for me my favorite captain I've played under. Probably because I played the longest under Ethan. But he was just one of those guys. Remember, he speaks, everyone listens up, and whatever he's gonna say is gonna be relevant. Rory's probably not necessarily in some ways. Well, he obviously got stuck in the pitch. He's made very few mistakes, but not necessarily. I'm trying to think about doing disservice. He's not leading necessarily by no, he's not leading by example, but he's not. I think Brian Driscoll's slightly different from that point of view, but Rory certainly just the way he carried himself when he spoke. As I say, everyone listened, and he brought a calmness as well. Like whenever you came into the changing room after your warm up, big European game or big international game, nerves are going, you're shitting yourself, and Rory speaks, and there's a calmness comes into the circle, and sure, it's going to be okay. Nearly, do you know what I mean? And he's one of those guys as well. He just has that aura about him where you just feel you're doing anything for him. You're on, and again, a cliche, but you're on for a brick wall. If he's in a fight, you're in to defend him. That's the way he felt. And he, although I said he's not necessarily stereotypically big example, but he sets standards as well. He's, as all captains do, but he sets a standard where you're hitting the standard or you're not. You can get lost basically. I think so. On and off the pitch, I would say as well. With Drico, again, a calmness. I think obviously I didn't play under Drico anywhere near as much as Rory, but he brings a calmness, a confidence. Obviously, he has himself, and standards again. That's that word that sort of people bat around about leaders and whatnot. He brings standards that this is the standard of the team. This is my standard, and you're hitting that standard. Not interested, you can find another team. And the competitive edge again. That's something I always remember about Drico. Like right up to the very end, he's can't remember exactly what age he retired at, but he's still unbelievably competitive in training, fitness, tackle drill, whatever it was. He was 100%. He had to win everything. And I think that's a pretty good quality for a captain to have as well.
Yeah. Does anyone else would like to ask Luke a question
about Rory? Even since he's retired, and he does the punditry, on I think it's on BBC. All right, it's ITV. One of the, and absolutely every time he's going to say something intelligent. They get some people they talk absolute shite, but the Rory then when he says something, it's going to be fucking valid. I actually think O'Driscoll is all right as well. Some people don't think he is. I think he's okay. I think he's fairly clued up. He's not a mug. I mean, when you compare that to somebody like Austin Healy, who talks absolute shite.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Austin fucking Healy.
Rory's an absolute gentleman, by the way. I haven't ever met him personally, but you can just tell by listening to him speak, and anything he says is going to be valid.
Yeah. But, okay. Actually, Luke, sorry, are you finished, Mike?
No, you're good, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, okay. Luke, I was going to ask you, what's the difference in debuts for Ireland and Ulster? Your Ulster debut was against Munster, I think, in 2010, and you had to wait 3 years to get the Irish debut. What's the feeling, the difference in anticipation or feeling for your debut for your province, Ulster, and Ireland? Or is there a difference, Luke? Really, I mean, the excitement must be still.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a difference. For me, there was definitely a massive, and that's not downplaying Ulster. Like it was a dream come true as well. And, there's a few things obviously. Like the atmosphere is always going to be different. Like my debut was against Munster, as you say, which obviously interprovincial big game. Big enough game that, as far as I remember, that it wasn't two stacked teams, so it's not a sort of pinnacle occasion, but really exciting. Remember it pretty clearly as well, but your international debut, I think, is just another level up. A gap that, well, again, the standard of international rugby, of course, is a level, at least a level up. The atmosphere, playing especially in the Six Nations game against Scotland, sold out at Murrayfield, great occasion.
Yeah.
And then, like, again, no disservice to my debut for Ulster, but the players you're lining up with in that international debut, for me, certainly was pretty exciting. Yeah, so like I think they are definitely different, but both very, very proud days in their own right for me, no question.
Yeah. Okay. And I see, sorry, Luke, before we move on to the topics that I sent you, I see you're involved in the USPCA.
Yeah, well, I'm not actually, I have no official role. I was down at the opening, they opened a new store down in Belfast, not far from the stadium actually, so I was down at the opening of that, but I have no official involvement with them, but it's definitely a great charity. I'd probably like to get more involved.
Yes, well, I am a dog owner and I loved seeing that sort of stuff. So it was great to see. Right. Anyway, gentlemen, we shall move on. Claire definitely dropped out there. She just sent a message there saying her phone died. I don't know if Claire has a charger for her phone handy. So if she can get back in, she will get back in. Okay, Luke. Let's start with the. I'd be very interested to hear, Luke, your thoughts on this. The Rugby World Cup, the format is changing for the next World Cup to 24 teams. And what they're going to do is they're going to have a 4 to 5 4 qualifiers and then a repechage for the 5th place. So we got 2 pools. Pool A has Georgia, Spain, Netherlands, Switzerland. Pool B, this is the men's European Championship thing, whatever they call it. Pool B is Portugal, Romania, Belgium, Germany. Luke, do you think this is a good idea to expand it?
So they're expanding and bringing obviously more lesser teams without being offensive. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, so so you've got, I suppose, you'd call them all tier 2. In fairness, they're all tier 2, bordering tier 3. So you got Georgia, Spain, Netherlands, Switzerland, Portugal, Romania, Belgium, Germany. Is that something?
It's a tough one because you're obviously looking to grow the game in the different countries, or grow it more in countries of those lower tiered nations, and that's tough to do without getting involved in bigger competitions. But obviously, the challenge is then they become a dead rubber side in a World Cup pool. And it's basically a nothing game. So it's overall, probably I do agree with it. I think those nations like they qualify for a World Cup, they know they're not going to win it, so it's just a great occasion for them to be involved. And then even if they get beaten by 80, 90 points by the All Blacks or Ireland now, the way Ireland are going, I think they'll still be happy to be there. As much as every team probably says they want to compete, I think in a game like that, they're just looking to be there and enjoy the occasion, I suppose, as much as they can. So I think, as I said, it's tough to. They're looking for different ways to grow the game, and I think they're those sort of lower tiered competitions of some of them have probably run their course without much success. So the only thing is to, as you're saying, expand the bigger competitions like the World Cup, etc., and bring the lower tier nations into them. So I think they sort of have to do it, don't they?
Yes, well, have to and should they are, I suppose, 2 different things. But yeah, no, fair enough, Luke. I take your point. Dara Weston, we haven't heard from you yet. The expansion of the Rugby World Cup, good thing, bad thing, dead rubbers, useless fixtures. Go on.
Yeah, I have mixed. I'd prefer to see a shield coming in, the World Cup and a shield. I mean, you look at Namibia, they played in every single World Cup. They automatically qualify basically as second African team. They never won a single match. They're the whipping boys of the World Cup. So, I mean, are we just introducing... And that does nothing for developing rugby in a country. So, I mean, if you bring the likes of Germany in and, the team gets hockeyed in all their pool matches, is that going to do anything for developing rugby as a sport?
No.
you know. So I'd prefer to see a World Cup and then a kind of a plate. So two competitions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Fair enough. Peter Martin, your thoughts on the Rugby World Cup expansion? It's like I to be honest with you, Pete, Dara, Luke, and Mike, I don't see much point to this. But go on, Pete. Go on.
Yeah, I suppose like on based on just to add to what I agree an awful lot with what Dara has said, that you have a situation, you know, in the last World Cup and previous World Cups where Namibia have qualified. Now they have a rugby heritage, but as Dara has stated, they've had their arses handed to them, and it does no good. The last World Cup, you also had Romania who came through, and I think they were almost as bad as Namibia. But the flip side is that Portugal came through, albeit through a playoff, because you know Spain tried to pull a fast one, and Portugal was on everybody's lips, you know, as their second favorite or their third favorite team in the last World Cup. They brought joy, you know, they were the best thing that happened the game because they were a minnow and they produced fantastic performances. The style of rugby, everything about Portugal was fantastic. Absolutely everything. Refreshing. Everybody wanted them to win. So you have that side to it. I would say that if the new format produces more stories and performances that likes of Portugal can produce, I am absolutely all for it. We want all of that. The danger is, of course, is that you could have someone like Germany or Holland qualifying, and it's going to be, you know, it'll be a cricket score, and you know those who knock our game will have plenty more ammunition. You basically say it's only a game played by 12, 13 nations, and look at the rest of them, they're absolutely fucking shite, and what's the point of them being here, kind of thing. You want it to be a competitive competition. So for that reason alone, and for, I suppose, the dignity of those who are qualifying, I think there should be definitely a secondary competition that, you know, to make it gives everybody a chance to win a game at a World Cup style competition, you know, to play against a team with a different style. So you could have, for argument's sake, Germany playing against Namibia, or, you know, whichever other nations. If Russia, if they're allowed in, if they qualify, they could be playing, I don't know, they could end up playing in a pool game, maybe one of the weaker Pacific nations teams, something that never has probably happened before. Stand to be corrected in that. But like it'll make for a fascinating occasion and a great day for the lower ranked nation. That's, you know, like ultimately it has, like, we don't want you know, to be a turkey shoot for the smaller nations, because it has to be meaningful that, okay, they're going to, if they play the pool games and they drop out, whatever way they stage it, they drop out after 3 games where it's obvious that they're out of their depth, they drop into the secondary competition and they have a chance of winning a game or drawing a game, scoring a number of tries even.
Yeah.
Give them something so they don't go home with both arms the same length, basically.
Well, I mean, if you could picture it, I mean, imagine Russia were in a final against whatever, us. Geez, you'd fear for Putin to invade us, wouldn't you? just to stop it, for Christ's sake.
I think it's more likely. We're more likely to have Iran versus the USA in a rugby in that type of that kind of final. To be fair,
jeez, there'd be fireworks at that, literally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Mike Reedy, your thoughts on this Rugby World Cup expansion?
I'll just echo what the lads have said. As regards Namibia, I mean, they have been whipping boys for every World Cup. Romania as well this year, or last year. But the flip side was Portugal and Uruguay as well. Acquitted themselves well, you know, with their performances. But we're probably going to have Canada and the USA. And I mean, I was at in the 2015 World Cup. I was at the Ireland-Canada game and also Romania game in Wembley.
Yeah,
and,
all right. No need to brag. Jesus.
I'm just saying I was at too lower, what would be conceived as lower ranked teams, and they are lower ranked. But let's remember, New Zealand put 96 points on Italy in the World Cup just gone. So they're one of the tier 1 nations. So it can happen in any game. I don't think it's right to deny him a chance, of progressing. However, if it's a team like Spain or Germany comes in and get absolutely fucking walloped, is it going to do anything, first of all, for rugby in their country? Because people are going to watch that and think, do we really want to watch our country getting fucking smashed around the field, by a far superior outfit? And I living in Scotland, I experienced lots of fucking animation towards rugby anyway, egg chasing. If you're not a fucking soccer fan here, you're on a hiding to nothing but two shite football teams. But
Mike, will you get off the fence? I mean,
I know.
What are you actually saying here?
But I'm just saying it's difficult to grow a game in I mean, they can't even grow it here. They have 2 teams in Scotland. There are talks about putting possibly a third one in Aberdeen, and it's never going to happen because there's no fucking appetite for it there. So it's going to be difficult to grow it in countries where there's absolutely no rugby at all, like your Spains and your. But Portugal have done particularly well, and hopefully they can build on that now and as a nation and as club sides. But I think they have to build it around in lesser tournaments like a subsidiary to the Six Nations, for instance, for European clubs, and Southern Hemisphere should have something similar. So I think that would be more beneficial than throwing them in at the deep end into a World Cup and getting absolutely smashed. And let's be honest, lads, 20 teams was probably enough in the World Cup. 24 is going to be 4 more poor teams. They're not going to be fucking up to the standard that's going to improve the tournament.
Okay, gents, before we move on, just a couple of comments. Danny Brosnan, good idea for growing the game in tier 2 nations. Just don't pull a Spain and make sure all their players are actually qualified. Oh yeah, I remember that. I think the Rugby Super Cup will benefit some of those teams internationally. Excuse me. Now, this is a very good point from Ger Brennan. Ger Brennan says, loads of boys and girls in Ireland want to run or swim now because of the success at the recent Olympics. Kids in Germany and Spain won't want to play rugby if their team is getting turned over by 100 plus points. Excuse me. They need to play teams at a similar level, at least for a couple of rotations. That's what I'm saying. Thanks, Ger. Mike Sheedy. How are you, Ger, by the way? Thanks for tuning in. Mike Sheedy. Like always, the World Cup and Europe Championships Cup and URC Rugby bringing more teams into these games, like TV media's more money into their pockets by people who know nothing about rugby, don't care about players' safety too. Mike, you're getting a bit right wing now. Do you have a yellow vest that you have at home? I don't know. You're getting a bit out there now, in fairness. Gregor Galway, I'll be watching the Rugby Europe Plus to see how Romania and Georgia get ahead of the tour. Okay, fair enough. Luke, I want to ask you, we had a heavyweight and kind of a heavyweight. Argentina were playing the All Blacks. Argentina beat them at 38-30 or something like that.
Yeah.
Is this, Luke? Is this Contepomi doing a good job, or is Robertson doing a shite job? Now, in fairness, the All Blacks, they really haven't performed well in the last few months, and there's one thing about that worries me, which is off script, not the point I'm making, is that Barrett coming to Leinster in December. But really, the team, and Barrett has looked off, but the team as a whole hasn't played well in the last few months. And then they go and lose to Argentina. Luke, any idea what's going on there?
Yeah, I think I would say their form's been patchy for the last. They even go. They had a great performance against Ireland in the World Cup. We ended up doing all right, but they're just not the same team they were. I would say 3-4 years ago. Like I know they didn't win the World Cup previously, but they've definitely been patchy. I didn't see the game weekend, so I don't want to nothing too much to take away from Argentina. Argentina, I think, they are a funny team because they're consistently good, but they definitely have with the players they have the potential for these really impressive one-out performances, and obviously that was one of the weekend. I think they did it. They beat them last year as well. I think in the Rugby Championship, as far as I remember as well, or 2 years ago anyway. So they have it in them, but no, I don't know if it's. I don't think the players, and I know rugby, and it's probably controversial to say, talking about New Zealand in this way, but I don't think the players and the same standard as they would have been, in years gone by, 4 or 5 years ago, 6, 10 years ago, when you're talking about some of the superstars they had back then, and obviously there's still superstars in the team, but I don't think across the board that certainly if you compare, and obviously Ireland are probably the best team in the world, if not number one on paper, but maybe they are the best team in the world. But there's not too many positions in the Irish team where I would look at and swap that many All Blacks players into, certainly. But I don't know if it's Scott Robertson or for me, it's probably the standard player just isn't what it was. Certainly Scott Robertson did incredible things with the Crusaders.
Yeah.
They probably maybe needs a bit more time to settle in, but they've definitely been knocked off their perch this last number of years pretty badly. Did you,
Luke? No, I know you played against Australia. Did you ever play against the All Blacks in your Irish career?
No, I never played even on the 20s and missed out. No.
Okay, all right. Would you have liked to have?
Yeah. When I was growing up, I was, outside of Ireland. Like I love watching the All Blacks. Some of the sort of cult heroes back then. Carter was always. I did another interview a while ago. We talked about that as well. But that 2005 Lions tour, when Carter single-handedly just tore the Lions apart, was incredible. I can remember, especially I think it was the second test when he scored the grubber kick down the line past Wilkinson. What was wrong with it? So. I would love to have played against him. There's definitely a lot of my sort of rugby idols growing up were All Blacks, definitely.
Now, come here, Luke. I forgot to say to you that we do tend to sometimes go on tangents here on this show, but I'd be very interested to hear your opinion on this. This came up last week. You know the way, Luke, when you see online on Facebook or Twitter or Twix or X or whatever it is that your man runs, you always see these lists of the top 10 best rugby players of all time, right? Now, they are subjective, of course, right? But there's always a core of 3, 4, 5 players that always make everyone's list. There's always one player, because we're talking about the All Blacks, there's always one player that seems to pop up, which I do not agree with. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this, Luke. Jonah Lomu, right, did change the game, changed the image of the game, brought more people into the game. But Luke, was he one of the best of all time? In your own, it's your own personal opinion.
No, I think from a pure rugby point of view, no, he wasn't. No question, he wasn't for me. But the excitement he brought to the game still, I loved. I remember nearly crying because I was such a big All Blacks fan whenever France put them out they did 2 World Cups in a row, but the '99 quarter final they put them out. I remember shouting at the TV, just pass the ball to Lomu, let him run, but no, I think he was just a freak physically. He was so much bigger than everybody else. He was obviously quick as well, but you compare him to the wingers we have now. The skill set he had compared to the wingers we have now, I don't think there's a comparison. I think he was a great rugby player and a great player to watch. As you say, brought a lot of excitement, but I don't think he's anywhere near the top 10 greatest rugby players for me.
Thank you. Would you have been kind of slightly fearful if you saw him running at you?
Oh yeah.
Just staying
dived with his ankles, or dived out of the pitch. So we might have dived away from us.
There you go. Well, that's it, Luke. Yes. Dara Weston. Argentina beating the All Blacks. Is Contepone doing a good job, or is Robertson just failing at his job? The All Blacks haven't been on song now, as Luke said. They've really been under par for the past 3, 4, 5 months. What do you think, Dara?
They've been under par, but let's not pretend Argentina hockeyed them. It was 38-30. So
Yeah.
I mean, they put up a decent score. I think the All Blacks have lost a good bit of their luster the past couple of years. Ireland have beaten them 3 times in the last couple of years since Soldier Field. They seem to be they've lost the high ground that they had in rugby. They're still a massive draw, and everybody knows that if you get them for an autumn international, you'll fill your stadium. But they're not the rugby superstars they used to be. And then also, they're under financial pressure themselves. You see some of their players going off to Japan, because basically they need to lighten the wage bill a bit because the private equity crowd who bought them having a pot to piss in. So, but mind you, I mean, the All Blacks could probably just sell shirts alone and still make more money than the IRFU do, without even ticket sales or anything.
Yeah.
No, I'd like to think Dr. Phil is doing great things with Argentina. But it's I'd like an Argentina to kind of Italy in the Six Nations. They have a couple of good performances every year, but literally, it's very hard to predict which performance will be great and which won't.
Yeah, true. Very true. Very true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, although they'll beat Australia, but that's anybody beat Australia nearly at this stage.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Peter Martin, the New Zealand malaise, as it appears and has been appearing for the past few months, is it down to that particular game I'm just talking about now? Well, the All Blacks' performance over the last few months has been, as Luke and Dara have alluded to, hasn't been great. But that particular game, Argentina, is Contepone just doing such a good job that he beat Robertson at his own game? Is it down to the players? Is it what is it? Argentina beating New Zealand is nearly unheard of. So what happened?
Well, as Creevy, who incidentally looks older than, somehow managed to look older than Mike Reedy there, said after the game, it was fucking amazing, and they had a game plan and they stuck to it. The defense from Argentina was absolutely outstanding. They're a dangerous backline. They have a guy in, I remember looking his name up because he was interviewed after the game. He's actually a Kiwi himself. He actually coached in Lyon. Jamie Lynn or something. I can't remember the exact name, but anyway, I just looked him up. Says, who's this guy? Just out of pure curiosity. But he's a former player. He's a Kiwi himself, and he coached in France. So look, he's obviously got a bit of pedigree. But I think, in a general sense, Argentina, they hit all the right notes. They got the tone of their performance, because they're like Italy, they're a very emotional team. When their dander's up, they can be very dangerous, very physical, and that Latin passion comes through in their forward play, and they get very wound up and so on. They get very physical, and of course, discipline can go out the window. Lavanini was unleashed from the bench, I think, at one stage, and the man is the human epitome of a red card. But I think they've brought a couple of players through, good players through. Like their second row who scored that try looks a very good player. I think they got their game plan. They executed it pretty damn well. The other side of it is the All Blacks were full of errors. I think McKenzie at 10 is not going to. I think that's not going to work.
No,
I wouldn't be surprised if he's dropped now for the upcoming game, and possibly Bowden could be moved to to 10, and will Jordan come in at 15? Who knows? But I think it's more player selection issue rather than a tactical thing, perhaps, with the All Blacks. The other side of it as well is you're talking about from a World 15 or a World 15 team at the moment. There's only possibly one player on the All Blacks team who get into a World 15 at the moment. Like, there's more Irish players who get onto it. We could easily say there's 3 or 4 Irish players, strong cases that, you could go around the world and argue with people, in tier 1 nations.
Who's the All Black player, Pete?
Surveyor.
Luke, would you agree with that? Surveyor would be the only New Zealand player to get in a World 15.
It wouldn't be on his fucking performance Saturday.
Yeah, probably off the top of my head. Certainly the way I think you would have 4 or 5 years ago, you would have said Barra, but he's just inconsistent. He's playing more at fullback now.
That's what fucking worries me, Luke, because he's coming to Leinster in December. So anyway, yeah. So would he be Surveyor would be the only, or is there another All Black player, Luke, you'd have on the World 15, as Pete was saying?
No, I think I would agree. I think Surveyor's the only one. I haven't watched that much recently, so I can't comment too closely. But over the last couple of years, certainly Surveyor's the only one that I would say. Certainly on his day, he's pretty unplayable. He's great to watch. But then there's a lot of good number 8s around the world. So I'm not even sure if he gets definitely into the team as well.
Doris.
Yeah, it's the obvious choice, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yes. Okay.
Like if you're to pick a World 15, like if I was to pick a World 15 back row. Now, obviously, this is my view, but like you'd have Doris, Surveyor at 7, and Detroit at 6 as blindside flank. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't think you can go very, very far wrong. With a back row like that. Yeah. Obviously, it's my view. You'll chop into those and say Aldred at 8, or they'll say.
I think that Aldred's the only one I really one of the French boys I might throw in there.
Oh, Luke! Before I forget, because I know people ask me this, do you rate Finn Russell?
Yeah, I think he's.
Sorry, where's the remove Luke from the screen button here? Hold on a second. What, Luke? You rate Finn Russell? Go on, tell me.
Yeah. I think he's great to watch as well. I think like from a neutral supporter, he brings such excitement. Like, I think he's definitely. I think he's very much a little bit of sword, die by the sword. Like when it goes wrong, it can go very wrong, but. You think back down the years, some of those performances. The one that stands out for me is against England, and I think it was Murrayfield.
He loves playing against England.
When he threw that, I remember the pass he threw to Hugh Jones. I think it was and there was probably a bit of luck because I think it could have been intercepted. But I think he can definitely do things that there's not too many other 10s or players can do definitely. But I think from a coaching point of view, I think he'd be a nightmare.
Yes, but that's one part of his.
You'd like to play outside him, Luke, would you?
Yeah, because I think most guys, certainly the backman guys, want to play outside 10s. You want to throw the ball around. Certainly, I did when I was playing. But I think it'd be
Andre Pollard.
Enjoyable. I think he would be frustrating to play with too, because I think he wouldn't know he's one of those guys that. You don't know what he's going to pull from his arse, next. So it's tough to read him. I think you need to play with him for a number of years, probably before you really knew what he was going to, or have any idea what he might do. But no, I think he's great for the game. I think he's great to watch. I really do.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Fair enough. Right. Mike Reedy. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Argentina versus the All Blacks. Yeah. Well.
It's kind of a double-edged thing. I think Argentina have definitely improved. I know it was only a third-tier French team that they beat in the second test in Argentina there recently. But the All Blacks are on a serious demise. Like England should have beaten them. There's no question about it. England should have beaten them, especially in the second test, and they'll fucking regret that for a long time. They had a chance. They had a chance to beat him in both tests, and I genuinely thought they're going to do him here in the second test, and they didn't. Now, the All Blacks are going to have to be concerned with at least a couple of the tries they conceded against Argentina. They were fucking parted like the Red Sea. It was embarrassing watching them. It's definitely not All Blacks defensive rugby, and I seriously have concerns for them when they play against the Box. The Box will fucking eat them alive. So they will play in that kind of rugby.
And we'll never hear the end of it.
Well, whether we do or we don't, I can't see, and I cannot see anything other than the Box smashing fucking Australia off the park. Even dropping 10 of their players, I think they'll still absolutely obliterate them on Saturday. They are fucking dreadful.
Okay. Sorry, go on, Mike.
It's going to take a serious amount to lift the All Blacks again. I tell you that, because even Scott Robinson, you can't blame him totally for it, but they haven't got. It's like the lads said, they haven't got the players. They just genuinely do not have the players anymore.
But Mike, we spoke about this before, and Luke, you only retired at the end of last season or the season 2024. Last season, yeah, okay. So when a team doesn't perform, and Luke, you are highly skilled, qualified to answer this question above all of us. We're just fans. Some of us have played, some of us coach, whatever. When a team doesn't perform, Luke, is that the coach or is it the players?
I think in the case of the All Blacks, with a new coach who's only been in, how long has he been in since the end of the last World Cup? I think that's got to be the players. It's not like I'd be very surprised if he's obviously a very good coach because his past record shows that, and I'd be very surprised if his approach and his delivery has got stale within a few months. You need to rub a lot of ways up the wrong way in a short period of time to do that. So for me, it's looking from the outside. It's got to be the players. There's different times, obviously, when if a coach has been there for a while and performance started dip, it can be. And maybe times that the coach gets selection or tactics wrong, but again, I didn't see the games. I don't know what the tactics were, but
you
told me the players to blame.
Yeah, no, I know you didn't say any rugby, Luke. You told me that on the message. I was just generally, if a team doesn't play well or perform well, where does the blame, if any, lie? Is it coach or the players? But yeah, no, fair enough. I
think definitely, certainly from my experiences throughout the years of Ulster, quite a lot of times the coaches take the blame, not just the head coach, defensive coach, attack coach, and they'll take the blame generally from the media fans as well, but they'll be the first to get the blame when quite a lot of times, and I know because I've been in the teams when it's been the players, they haven't performed, and for whatever reason, guys haven't turned up on the weekend, or even you see it sometimes during the week. You can tell sometimes during the week, we're not at the races this weekend, and so there's definitely a lot of times when the coaches take the rap when it should be the players.
Sorry, Luke, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have to ask you the difference in the Ulster team when Richie Murphy took over, as opposed to when Dan McFarland, who I really didn't rate at all. I thought he was a bad coach. I thought he hung his players out to dry, which is something you don't do when he, post-match interviews. I thought Dan McFarland was a absolute disaster for Ulster. Luke,
I think it turned sour at the end, no question.
Yeah.
But do you like when he came in 2018? I think it was. We were going for a tough spot. And I think he did. I do think he did a good job for 3-4 years there. He steadied our ship. We had good players, and still we always produced decent enough players, but we were in a real bad spot, and we had some really poor results. And I think the end of the season before he came, we just about qualified, which was similar to this year. We just about qualified for Europe for the Champions Cup. But I think he did a good job in sort of going back to basics with us. But certainly at the end, he had lost the team. Certainly, I would say all of the last season there, he left at Christmas, but maybe even the season before, things probably were in a downturn. So, it didn't end very well. And I suppose the style of play, as I say, he went back to basics when he first came in. Put a lot of emphasis in our maul, stuff which is not necessarily easy, but it's gonna, a good maul is always going to cause teams for troubles. And, if you can get access to 22 and you've got a good maul, you're going to score tries, and that's what he did. Develop our maul, our physicality. But as teams learn how to defend the maul and learn how to defend some of the attritional features you have, you need to be able to expand your game, maybe play more expansively, and then we didn't adapt to that, and I suppose that blame probably did fall on him a bit because he tried to probably play too negative a game for too long. We did try to expand at the end, but it didn't work. It didn't work out, as you probably saw at the start of the season. But going back to Richie, I think Richie's obviously a new coach coming in as always. That's what I was saying about Scott Robertson. He's just a new coach is always going to bring excitement. New style. Richie's brought in a new style with us. He's trying to let the backs play a bit more because we've talented young backs. He's worked with some of the guys from the under 20s. He's worked with some guys, few guys anyway, from the Ireland days, skills coach. And he's a good guy as well. I think guy, that personal touch of being a good person, it still goes a long way. And from a head coach, if a guy comes in and brings that, guys want to play for him. Certainly from the end of the season, guys want to play for Richie. But he's a very good coach as well. He's not just a nice person. You can see that as soon as he came in, he was picking up on things, some of our standards, our skills and stuff, our skill sets, and saying this isn't good enough. You're talking about playing at that level, and well, I there's quite a few of us could see we were deluding ourselves in the last couple of seasons of the level we thought we were playing at. So it was in some ways refreshing for him to come in and go, you need to get this right before you can play at that level. You need to sort of learn to almost walk before you can run. Because we had two really good results against Leinster, obviously this season, but
all right, Luke. Yeah, Grant. Okay, fair enough. Right, Grant.
Sorry, I go on all day.
No, it's the results against Leinster, Luke. I'm only joking.
Actually, because I joined late, has Luke spoken about his game with Leinster?
No, we don't. No, we don't. Listen.
No, do you remember the Ulster-Leinster game opening the Aviva when they hockeyed Munster and Connacht?
Oh, yeah.
You got a couple of tries that day, didn't you?
Yeah. No, that was
you did too. You did too, yeah.
And I think Munster and Connacht were kept to 0. They didn't even score anything, Mike.
Is that right?
Yeah.
She couldn't wait to get that one in, could you? Yeah.
No, it was actually a great game because it was open in the stadium, and I think all the players were aged between 18 and 21 or something like that. So it was real kind of and combined teams. So anyway, I had to get that in for your birthday.
Yeah,
You're giving out about Leinster.
Right, anyway, before we move on to what are we at? Approaching 54 minutes, right? We're wrapping up soon enough. Just a couple of comments. Joe Lyons, too many, I think, talking about the New Zealand, Joe, going back here. Too many of their top players retired at the next generation, simply not as good. Look at recent under-20s World Cup results. Okay, thanks, Joe. Heavy, Joe. Jared Brennan again. Up until the last 5 years, the All Blacks could play at 75% and beat all the other teams. They need to be 100% every day or they'll be turned over. The gap has closed and the AB conveyor belt has stalled. Okay. Megan Augusta. Hi, Megan. As always, welcome. You've made Peter's week, Luke. Right, okay. I don't know what that's a reference to.
The Finn Russell support, obviously.
Oh, I see. Right, okay.
I'm surprised Megan wasn't looking for the inside track on Nick Timoney.
Well, there you go. Mark Hunter. Now, see, I had to remind Mark Hunter that you were coming on, Luke, because Mark Hunter is one of Ulster's finest supporters, and Mark has always supported Ulster. Mark is a good guy. I've met Mark a couple of times. Mark, thanks, Luke. Pete's going to be really hard to live with now, Morezo, more so than usual. Okay, thanks, Mark. Yeah, cheers. At least you're watching and you got your reminders. Mark Hunter, Argentina mightn't have hockey New Zealand, but we're the better team by far. No scrums for 61 minutes. What was that all about? Yeah, that's a good point, Mark. Yeah, there wasn't. Yeah, that's true. Hold on, Joe Line. Sorry, folks, there's loads of comments coming in here. Argentina, the Scotland of the Southern Hemisphere, can manage a great performance and then follow it up by getting hockeyed, not consistent enough to be classed as a top 5.
That's a bit harsh.
Yeah. Okay, Joe Lyons, Will Jordan, lads, come on, he's pure class. Yeah, he is. Yeah, Will Jordan's not bad. Didn't he score a try against us at some stage? A good try at that.
Yeah.
Bev Anne Marie, to be honest, I think it's been a long season for all teams and no one has been particularly spectacular during the summer. Fair enough, Bev, yeah. I think the players are all exhausted in a World Cup year. There should be as many games to maintain player safety and health. Yeah, good point. I see Gregor and Megan there having a private conversation between themselves. Yeah, okay. Ulster fan Mark Hunter. So was it the Ulster players who downed tools, or was it Dan McFarlane's poor coaching / mismanagement players? I don't know, Luke. What do you think of that? You're in the better place to answer that. Mark Hunter. He's an Ulster fan.
Can't see with down tools. That would be the indictment on your as a player.
Yeah, go on, Luke.
I think it was some of the performances towards the end of Dan's tenure. It's probably a bit of both. I think he lost the players definitely towards the end. Where most of the season passed, as I said before. But there were some performances from the team where guys like, the Harlequins came away. I came off the bench and I was embarrassing, so it was, because I think as much as if you play under a coach and you don't agree with what he's doing, don't get on personally. If you're a professional rugby player, you've got to have your own standards, a level where you set, and you don't waver off that. And some of the performances that we put out as a team, even if we weren't being coached, they weren't good enough. I think the writing was on the wall for him, definitely, because I think the game plan wasn't working. We've been underperforming for 2-3 years, nearly 2 years at least. But there were definitely some games where the players' performances weren't good enough. As I say, you set your own standards, and you can't. Some of the stuff. The Harlequins game stands out for me. That's probably one of Harlequins, and to lose at home. Although Toulouse are obviously an incredible team, we get destroyed by them at home, and they were probably 2 of my most embarrassing days in an Ulster jersey. I would think. I would actually say definitely, good question. Definitely the Harlequins came away because they weren't a good team. They have a couple of. They play some good rugby at times, but they're a very, very flaky team. They were never going to go that far in Europe. I didn't think I know they got on a couple more rounds, but they weren't going to win it. I think they put 50 on us that day. So,
yeah. All right. Anyway, we'll stop doing that. It's not fair to keep going down that road. Danny Brosnan, how are you, Danny? The behind-the-scenes producer, Mr. Brosnan. Give Razor a year to bed in and the team to adapt to his system. I don't know if New Zealand can wait a year, Danny, to improve that form, to be honest with you. Ian Gilbert. Ian is, he lives in Madrid. Ian Gilbert. Hold on, let me just put this up for your benefit. Luke, great to see an Ulster legend on the show. There you go, Luke.
Absolutely.
Well, as I said at the outset, Luke, when you were named on the team sheet, you just knew there was something going to happen. There was a buzz, there was an excitement when you were on the team sheet. Okay, right. Last point. We're coming up to an hour, so look, we got to wrap it up. We're not going to keep you too much longer, Luke. Although we do tend to overshoot these things. This idea that Luke, I'll come to you first and see if it works. I personally don't like it. I don't think anyone likes it. I don't think it will work. I think it's an absolutely shit idea. This gets touted every so often with a bit of frequency. I think it's probably every quarter, every 6 months, whatever it is. But the URC merging with the Premiership, that will never work, Luke, would it?
No, I don't think why. I can see why the Premiership want to merge with the URC. I don't see why the URC would. There's obviously a couple of teams that would be nice to have join the URC, a couple of big teams, but like the Premiership's, it's not a good place, I don't think. Obviously there's 2 or 3 teams have gone bust. Financially they're struggling. The quality's definitely dipped. It's not as exciting to watch anymore. I think the URC's got.
It's boring, Luke, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. I think since the URC, since we brought in the South African teams, just brought so much more excitement. You're traveling to obviously different hemisphere, you're playing at altitude in hotter conditions, which is tough for the teams, but it's exciting. It brings, and then you've got and again, it caused a bit of frustration amongst the teams. But when who was it? Glasgow having to travel in a week to get across for a semi-final. Munster obviously did it the year before.
Oh yeah.
It creates a bit of controversy, a bit of excitement. And that all adds to the competition. I don't see why. I can understand why the Premiership want to join or try and improve their league, but I don't see why the URC would want to. Really don't.
Okay, so it's a no from you, Luke.
Yeah, and I think also the other thing as well, it keeps that separation domestically, so that when it comes into Europe, you still get those big English-Irish or Scottish-English, but I'm thinking generally the big English-Irish clashes, the Leicester, Leinster, Ulster, Northampton. I'm trying to think of something to go with Ulster, but we'll leave it with those two. But what I mean, the two. There's nothing like an English and Irish rugby match where it's club rugby or international, because there's just a bit of hatred, isn't there? Like, so I think it's nice to keep that separate domestically and then still have it. But as I said, I can understand why the Premiership are looking for something to change their format and create more excitement in their league.
Well, excitement is certainly something that the English Premiership badly needs. Dara Weston, I'll ask you next because you came up with a great comparison in the chat group. What did you say? It was like it's
like a millionaire getting married to a bankrupt gambling addict. Like, I mean, as Luke said there about Leicester being a great team, but Leicester are only one roll of stamps away from bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Like they have to save the postage stamps when they get letters sent into them. So, like, I mean, the Premiership is just, it's a mess at the moment. 10 years ago it was great because there was loads of multi-millionaires wanted to own a team and they were all pouring money into their teams and all this. And like with Bath now and Finn Russell getting $1 million a season, that's why there's so many teams in the Premiership gone bankrupt. And the only reason they want the URC now is because the amount of TV money has probably gone up 4 or 5 times with the South Africans coming in because it's a massive audience now. But I mean, as Mike Farage will tell you there, his mate Nigel, he won't want the South Africans coming over and playing over in England. He'll be outside every ground, when they come over and making sure they get back on the planes again. So no, I think the URC would be mad to do it.
All right. Thanks, Dara. Thanks, Luke. Peter Martin, bonkers idea, this.
Totally. But do you know what? It's just, there's a particular Welsh journalist who habitually churns out the line about the URC will be gone and should be dead already. So it's just basically copper fastens what we know already, that for years he's been absolutely stealing a living as an expert, a so-called expert or so-called rugby journalist. So I won't mention his name, but even it just goes to show,
Stephen Jones, is it?
The English. Yeah, it just goes to show though that the English,
that's
the English.
Why do you think he started the podcast and got his press accreditation with the IRFU? Anybody can fucking do it.
There you
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
go. Go on, Pete. Go on, Pete.
Shots fired there. No, it's just basically like there was a deal announced today. Premier Sports, in case anybody hasn't seen it, are going to be the channel to watch for the next number of years because they've got so much in the way of the Champions Cup, the Shield, top 14. And the English apparently, I stand to be corrected. I don't think the English get access to Premier Sports anymore, or they have to pay extras to some sort of. I can't remember the exact details. I'd have to go through my bloody Twitter feed to have a look and see exactly. But they have to pay more or something to see,
Yeah, you do. You have to pay it. So it's a
Yeah,
and Pete, Mike, and all, who is pretty high up. I think he's the chief, could be the chief of Premier Sports, and he was on this show.
Craig Doyle.
Look at him as he sits back, going, big, happy, proud. I know fucking everything. You all are all thick heading. Go on, Burke. Tell us who it is.
No, I was only saying it because I messaged him on LinkedIn to congratulate him, and he came back to me. Royal Nugent.
Yeah, that's right. Sure, right. Didn't Premier Sports come out of Setanta?
That's correct.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And whatever they're called now came out of BT, TNT, or something.
Yeah, anyway. All right, come on. We're over time. Mike Reedy, this idea of amalgamating the URC and the stupid, as you called them last week, the Gallagher, and I had to correct you, it's the Gallagher Premiership. Go on, Mike.
Been Scotland too long.
The Irishness, obviously. Lads, I think we're going to have to face the situation that World Rugby is in serious financial peril, and we all disagreed with this Qatar money coming in, or games going to Qatar or whatever, which is right. But I tell you what, I think we're going to have to face the fact that we're going to need money from somewhere because the English Premiership is on its knees. The Southern Hemisphere outside of, Australia is struggling, New Zealand is struggling. And it's interesting that the two teams that voted against the Qataris coming in, Ireland and France, are the two leagues that are, well, Ireland are obviously involved in the URC, but they're the two organisations that are doing particularly well at the moment financially. But the English Premiership needs to get money from somewhere, and they're wanting to tag on to something, a successful venture like the URC. But you can't ruin a competition just to bring in teams from a failed organization, or a failing organization. So I think it would be unfair to. So who are we going to lose? The Italians or whatever? Maybe some Welsh teams. There's actually talks of only having two Wales teams going forward. That they're not strong enough to have four teams. So
yeah, needs the Ospreys are falling apart at the seams.
Yeah, well, Welsh
absolutely
rugby
falling apart at the seams. There's serious on between the two clubs, between what was Neath and Swansea. There's serious. It was up on saw it on Twitter there a number of months ago that neither of the two teams underneath, or the two teams underneath the regional franchise, whatever you want to call it, they're at absolute war with each other. It's an absolute shit show. To be, you wouldn't believe it. Like closing off training facilities to each other and everything.
Okay, gentlemen, we just end with a few comments from people watching. Joe Lyons, like my kids at home, we need a virtual curse jar. Every time the bleeding name Finn Russell comes up, there needs to be a $5 put in that jar. Okay, thanks, Joe. I hope that's
working. Be bankrupt in a month.
I would. Bevan Marie, it's €10.99 a month for Premier Sports or $120 for the year, but I'd rather pay that than $30.99 a month for TNT. All right, okay, didn't realize it was that much. Okay, Gregor Galway agrees with you, Joe Lyons. Thank you all. Okay, right, folks, that's it. We're overtime per usual. My thanks to Mike Reedy in Glasgow, Dara Weston, Peter Martin, and our special guest this evening, Luke Marshall, ex-Ulster and Ireland player. Luke, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciated your inputs and your comments. And listen, we wish you all the best, Luke. Thank you very, very much for your time.
No problem. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Best of luck in your
Best of luck, Luke, in the next stage.